Hey, what's going on, everybody? Who be 186 back again with another video. I am doing this a little bit differently. I normally I wouldn't do this live, but I decided to do it because I feel like this video is gonna be a little bit longer, so I figured instead of just saying what I have to say and then editing it, I'd rather just do this live and then just put it out there. Because this video is gonna be long because there's definitely several topics that I want to discuss. This is all revolving around uh thing that's going on with Sony and some of the stuff that has people questioning whether or not this company is anti-consumer or not. So um yeah, that's pretty much about it. Like, I'm not gonna share the link out or nothing like that. I'm not gonna check the chat rooms or anything like that. So, you know, this is mainly just to make the video and just put it out there and that'll be it. Now, obviously, E3 is coming on. Overall, I thought it was a good show altogether by all the company. I didn't see Nintendo's conference, so I don't know what the fuck. I know that they announced Metroid Prime 4. I think it's Metroid Prime 4 and some other stuff, but I haven't seen any of it. But there's been a lot of talk, especially after the press conferences, especially with new hardware coming out. People are always talking about there's always quotes from executives and all these talk about capabilities and new features and stuff like that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the exclusivity deals that Sony has picked up, especially with Destiny, because there's been a lot of talk about Sony potentially holding, telling Activision to hold back Destiny for the Xbox One X. Now, I'll get to the holding back part at the end of the video. But also, it was highlighted during Sony's press conference that you know they're going to be certain PvP maps. I think raids, exclusive stuff like that for the PlayStation. And it was the same thing with the original Destiny. Now, obviously, a lot of Xbox fans and fanboys are upset about this. And, to be fair, I don't blame them because, I mean, I'm sure they want to play a full content version of Destiny 2 without being left out because of marketing deals. Now, here's the deal, though. All these exclusivity deals that Sony has and making, getting, third party exclusives, this is not a new practice. Right? This has been going on for as long as we can remember. You know what I mean? This has been and when it comes to the modern gaming age, one of the biggest offenders of this practice has been Microsoft. And a lot of people know this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to say that it's right or wrong. At the end of the day, it's a business. The goal for these companies is to make your hardware desirable to buy, to get people to buy your product. And the best way to do that is with exclusives, whether it's games and nowadays whether it's exclusive, DLC and stuff like that. I don't know how many of these dudes were complaining when Call of Duty had their map packs 30 days ahead. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see a lot of these dudes complaining. They were just talking about the game. Now I understand that the Destiny DLC is a little bit more extreme. Apparently, it's supposed to be at like a year. I don't even know if they even got so. I don't even know if Xbox even got any type of strikes or anything like that on for the original yet. You know what I mean? With some of the DLC stuff, and I'm not a fan of Destiny. I don't give two flying fucks about Destiny. But no, I understand that the deals are extreme. But recently when I bought my niece Injustice for her birthday, my friend Steve TKO, he finagled me into buying him the I think it's called the GTA Complete Edition for the PS3. Like he hasn't gone to next gen yet. Um, so it was the which is GTA 4, GTA 4, The Lost and Damned, and Ballad of Gay Tony. And for those of you who may not have known this, who probably were too young to remember, the game GTA 4 came out early last generation. I can't think of the year off the top of my head. But it came out early last generation. It was one of the biggest, like the launch of the game was one of the biggest in gaming history. It was a big deal to have this game come out on PS4. I remember, on all consoles, but but especially but on PS4, my cousin had the PlayStation 4 at the time, and he bought it on there, and it was actually was it on there on the I don't remember. I don't remember. I think I remember playing on the PlayStation 3. I think he bought it for both, but I remember playing. I remember the launch of the game and everything like that. It was great. It's a great game. It really is a great GTA game. But people forget that the for the first time ever, I think that was the first GTA game that was released simultaneously between the PlayStation and the Xbox. Because before then, PlayStation always had kind of like timed exclusivity on the game. The game first released on the PlayStation platforms. This was with the 3D GTA game. I think some of the early ones came out on both, or probably one came out on PC first, then on PlayStation. I don't remember for a fact. But with GTA 3, the first 3D GTA game, that came out first on PlayStation, or at the time PS2, and then I think like 6 months to a year later, it came out on PC. And same thing with Vice City, and I believe San Andreas was the first one to come out on the Xbox. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that came out like about a year after the PS2 version. So GTA 4 was the first game to release simultaneously between the PlayStation and Xbox, and the Xbox version of the game was better by a wide margin. I think it loaded quicker. It was just better. It was just overall better experience. And the thing that came out for it was that it was scheduled that they would get DLC first on that system. So when the Lost and I think the Lost and Dam was the first expansion to come out, that was only on the Xbox, not on the PS4. It was only on the Xbox because Microsoft made an exclusive deal with Rockstar to get that DLC. And the same thing with the Ballad of Gay Tony, which I believe was the second one. Both of those things were exclusive to the Xbox One, to Microsoft. And a lot of these dudes, and I know a lot of these dudes who are complaining now are old enough to remember this. And I'm sure a lot of these dudes bought that version of the game. They didn't give a fuck whether or not PlayStation 3 games were getting fucked. They didn't fucking care. Well, why would they care? At the end of the day, you have a game that is awesome, and you just bought the game. You didn't worry about you like again. A lot of these dudes who sit there and want to say, "Oh well, the PlayStation is holding back the industry with these practices." How many of those dudes were complaining about that? How many of these dudes were complaining about Tomb Raider? Like, if you want to talk about exclusive DLC and stuff like that, Microsoft, and I understand Phil Spencer was not part of the deal, but he was there. He was there. Aaron Greenberg was there. Major Nelson was there. Right? They held out a game that sold better on the PlayStation. A game that is much more synonymous with the PlayStation than it ever was with the Xbox with Tomb Raider. And yet they bought exclusive right to that game for a year. Kept it away from PlayStation for a year. And how many of those dudes complained about that? How many of those dudes, instead of complaining about it, saying that, oh, it's not fair to PS4 owners, how many of those dudes just bought the game? Exactly. To me, a lot of this is selective outrage. And also, let me also say this: when it comes down to what Sony's responsibility is, their responsibility is to their user base, to their install base. May not like the practice, trust me. It's not when you talk about it in the sense of, oh well, they're holding back games from other people and holding back content from other gamers. I understand how that can come off as anti-consumer. And to be fair, it may seem that way, but at the end of the day, Sony's goal is not to appease the gaming industry. Their goal is to appease their install base. It is to appease their customers. That's their goal. You know what I mean? Like, you have all these exclusivity deals that goes on between with Microsoft and Nintendo. You honestly believe that if Sony didn't do this, Microsoft would have? Think about like this. Think about this logically, right? Microsoft, after the whole debacle with the Xbox One, the original launch. Excuse me, with the original launch, right? Let's say if they were more let's say you already had Titanfall, a third party exclusive to your console, right? You're telling me if Microsoft really wanted to, they really could. If Sony decided, we'll just we'll have our games or whatever, we'll have third party. That's it. You honestly think that if that console was still struggling and these deals were still on the table, that Microsoft wouldn't take advantage of it to sell Xbox Ones? Come on, man! You guys are kidding yourselves, man. Like, you guys are acting like this company, that Microsoft, somehow the good guys of the industry. They're a business. They're a business. Now, again, I know that I know a lot of these dudes. They know these executives at Microsoft, and I know they really like these dudes, and that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I'm not really into the whole hero worship thing, but I understand that you guys like Phil. I understand you guys like Aaron. I know you guys like all these executives, but at the end of the day, they represent a business. And I guarantee you, all this stuff about not wanting to hold content and not wanting to buy up third party exclusive deals and stuff like that. That's all rubbish to me. That's all rubbish, because at the end of the day, if they're mandated to do so, if they have the opportunity to appease their consumer base, if they had the opportunity to get the third party deal, they definitely would. Hell, look at all the title exclusive they had over at the conference. Now, granted, I understand some of it is to help out some of these indie developers develop the game and stuff like that. Sony does the same thing with some of their indie games. Sometimes those games come out first to help with development so that they can port it to other consoles. I get that, but I mean, they make deals as well. You can't tell me that they don't. Like, look at the whole thing with like I said earlier with Tomb Raider. I think Division had content early on the Xbox One. Like, they all do. And like I said before, it's not like I mean, I don't know about Destiny, because some of these deals, we don't know if they'll ever come out for it, but eventually they'll come out for the Xbox. Just like the Lost in the Dam and the Ballad of Gay Tony, they'll eventually come out on the Xbox. Like, with like those games before, it took a long time, but those I do believe some of the DLC content will come out eventually for the Xbox. But this talk about this company, about these exclusive deals being anti-consumer, to who? To their non-consumers? Like, it don't make no sense. At the end of the day, their goal is to appease their consumer base, their install base. That's who their responsibility is for. It's for them. So So, like I said, for the viewer, hold on, let me check the yeah, I do have a viewer here, so appreciate the view, but this is not a traditional Who We Live. This is more just me talking about just talking about this stuff. Crap. Oh, so appreciate the view, but this is not a traditional Who We Live. This is more. Yeah, this is just me more. This is just me just making a video that is probably gonna be long. It's gonna be a long video, and just kind of being able to get it out there. Okay. So I made my point about the exclusivity deal. Now let's talk about crossplay. Now Jim Ryan, this dude, um, he talked. I forgot who he was talking to, but he made some comments about crossplay that I wanted to discuss. Now, first things first, I did make a video about this a long time ago. I think my stance on it was essentially that I think that while I don't blame Sony for automatically just jumping at the chance to do crossplay with them, I do think I did say that eventually I would like to see it happen, and I still stick by that. But his comment regarding, one thing he said that he didn't the reason why he was so hesitant to do it was because we couldn't they couldn't really surveillance and people who were on other platforms. So essentially what he said, and a lot of people ran with it, was that, hey, we want to protect our users from any type of abuse from other users. I'm like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. That is straight from Nintendo's playbook. You want to know why Nintendo has been so hesitant on online gaming? You want to know why the company has, you have to fucking put Morse code just to just to be friends with someone online with the Wii? It's because of that type of mentality, that type of stupid ass fucking comment that Jim Ryan said. I don't need your fucking protection, bro. I don't need you to protect me. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a stupid ass comment to make, because at the end of the day, no one buys that shit. And considering that Nintendo is doing crossplay with Xbox on a couple games, in a company that has always been, ass backward when it comes to online gaming, your excuse don't hold no fucking water. Absolutely no water. Now, with that said, I personally do think, because there's been a lot of theories being thrown around from different people, especially one from Fox Gaming. Fox, let me see if I can find his official Twitter tag. He definitely he has a YouTube channel, so let me look for it, because I'm so bad with names, especially when, unlike PSN, people can change their username. So I have to, everyone's always changing their names and shit. So let me yeah, Foxy Games UK. He made a great point regarding regarding crossplay, saying that Microsoft is just doing this to or just doing this just so that they can, kind of slow down the software sales for the PlayStation, which is a very interesting take. And I know other people have mentioned things about kind of how Microsoft's trying to slow down the sales and stuff like that. Ultimately, I do believe there's a lot more to it than just the stupid comment by Ryan. I do believe that there's money and politics involved in why this hasn't happened yet on Sony's part. Now, I do think some of it is cynicism, considering that last generation Microsoft was completely against crossplay, completely against it, and now all out of the blue they're for it. I'm sure that there's some people who are cynical about that. Yeah, so I'm sure some people are very cynical about that, and I don't blame them. But I do believe that there's money and politics in the background of this. I do think that I don't think this is because Sony doesn't want to do it, because they do it they have crossplay when it comes to some of their games. Like, obviously, I'm looking at my shelf here. Uh, Street Fighter Five has crossplay with PC gamers. Rocket League has back crossplay with the PC gamers, and it was just announced that this gem, a game that I try to play as often as I can. It's a great game. Is gonna have crossplay between PS4 and PC users. So they're not against crossplay. but for whatever reason, they don't want to work with Microsoft. They don't want to do it with Microsoft. Now, when it comes to a game like Minecraft, I don't know if this is the case with Rocket League either because I haven't looked it up. But apparently, in order to do crossplay with in Minecraft, Nintendo gamers have to have an Xbox Live account, and that right there probably tells me that Sony is not interested in having an Xbox Live app or whatever on their PlayStation Store. So that could be the reason why that's not the case. Why that game's not there. I don't know about Rocket League now, so I don't know about that. But that explains a lot. Now, to me, here's how I look at it. Listen, I want it to happen. I think it's a cool feature to have. I think it's something that would. I think it would help. Um, I think it would help. Like the games have more lasting power. I do want it to happen, but you also have to understand that people. This is like I said before. This is a business, and I don't know if Sony sees this as a profitable business venture for them. Working with quote the competition. Now, I'll also say this: I don't know. I highly doubt that Sony is the only company that is against this PlayStation 4 Xbox One crossplay. I don't think they're the only company that did because I was having a little discussion on Twitter with the Xbox user named Bledsoe MM. Despite his fandom of the Patriots, he's a cool dude. Despite his love for the Patriots, he's a cool dude. You know what I mean? And he said a comment that I thought was very interesting. He said that it's not fair to him, and I've seen other people say this too. But he said that it's not fair to him that he has to buy. Technically, he would have to buy two versions of the same game, one for each platform, so that he can play with his friends or whatever. Like it's not fair to him to buy two games on the same game on two platforms. And I told him, and this is true. I'm just telling you right now. Most third party companies, most companies in general, non any game that's not exclusive, I guarantee you that they would prefer it that if you bought two games on the same game on two platforms. I think they would much rather prefer you do that than to buy one game and that's it, and then you can play on with whoever you want. I guarantee you that Activision would prefer it that if you bought the new Call of Duty game uh, on both Xbox One and PS4. I think they would much rather prefer you do that because at the end of the day, they make more money. They make more money, and we all know that when it comes to profits and stuff like that, we all know that they're going to make a lot of money. So regardless, right? So so to me, if you want to see this change, instead of bitching and complaining to Sony about this, I think the way that this is going to get solved is if you guys pressure EA and Activision. Because, granted, I understand that I understand Minecraft is a big game. Probably bigger than both whatever games that Activision and EA makes, right? And obviously EA and 2K and what's the Take Two with some of their games, very popular games, right? Oh shit. I fucked up. Let me revert back. Now I understand Minecraft is a big game. I understand Rocket League is a big game. But in order for this to be a thing, I think you need EA and Activision and Take Two with their big multiplayer games. They have to be on board. They have to tell Sony, "Hey, look, we want to do crossplay between PS4, Xbox One, and if possible, the Switch. We want to see it happen. And if they want to see it happen, and Sony still says no, and it becomes out, and this becomes a big marketing thing for the versions for the Switch and Xbox One, that hey, you guys can play with each other, despite the fact that the PlayStation 4 has a larger install base. At the end of the day." that's going to make things happen. That's going to change. Either Sony decides, okay, we're in, or they're going to suffer the consequences. So as far as I'm concerned, if you want to see this thing change, pressure EA, pressure Take Two, pressure Activision to change it. Because while Minecraft is a big game, and while Rocket League is a big game, when it comes to competitive online multiplayer, Call of Duty, in my opinion, the Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefield One, and NBA 2K games like that I believe will create more of an impact, and will ultimately try to sway Sony into pursuing this. I think they're the ones that have to kind of like take charge in all this, because at the end of the day, Minecraft is a Microsoft thing. And Rocket League, while it's a huge game and it has it's big in esports and stuff like that, at the end of the day, most of these users are on PlayStation anyway because it came out first on that system. So I think for a game like Call of Duty, the World at War, I don't know, that's not what it's called. The Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty, Battlefront, 2K, like I said, those games I think will create more of an impact, and could be the driving force to Sony finally accepting. Like I said before, I believe it's much more than the BS that Jim Ryan was spewing regarding protecting his players. I think there's a lot of money and politics in the background of this. Why Sony hasn't accepted it yet. So like I said, if you want to see this change, instead of whining and bitching to Sony, I think you should try to convince EA and Activision to do it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if you guys will like their answer, because at the end of the day, those companies, they like their money. I'm just saying. The last thing I'll talk about before I head out is this claim that that hold on, let me say hi. What's going on, back Kakarot? What's going on, man? Thanks for watching, bro. Um, the Marlins just lost, so that's great. Lose 2 or 3 to the fucking garbage ass Braves. That's nice. Regardless, here's the deal, right? There's been a lot of talk about some of these third party games, because the thing with the Xbox One X is that there was a lot of claims made by fanboys, and to be frank, a lot of them made by um by the Xbox executives, that this system was going to be a true 4K system. That they uttered the words 4K on compromise, until they put like a little asterisk by that. They talked about high fidelity 4K gaming, high fidelity VR. They pumped this system out to be the 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 strongest console ever created, right? They put a lot of stock into the power of the system, right? They said that this system is not, it's leagues of, it's not in the same league. That that's what Phil Spencer said about the Pro. You had the shirts about 4K and stuff like that, about true 4K from Aaron Greenberg and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of people talking about this console's power, and then it comes out that a couple of the games that they showed, and a couple of games that are gonna come out for the Pro, I mean for the One X, you know. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. I thought the E3 was okay this year. I mean, I think that they showed the game that they showed a lot of cool game cool content when it comes to gaming. I mean, I understand that the press conferences left a little bit to be desired from both Microsoft and Sony. I definitely agree with you there. But I still thought it was pretty good. But yeah, back on topic. All right, so Microsoft, their executives have been really, really, really pushing this console as this powerhouse. And then it comes out that a game like Assassin's Creed is not going to be true 4K on the Xbox One X. I think it was also announced that Anthem is not going to be native 4K. Um, I know there's some other games that have been that hasn't, you know, that not going to be native 4K. And the funny thing is that now people are claiming, there's some people who are claiming, or there's a lot of people suggesting that Sony is the reason behind this. Now, the funny thing about the Assassin's Creed thing is because Assassin's Creed is a game that's going to be marketed, that Microsoft is marketing. So I figure that, and this is naturally, games that are marketed for a certain console tend to be the game that runs and looks better on that platform. You know what I'm saying? It's not always the case, but it is the case to an extent. It is the case to an extent, right? So that game is not native 4K. Like I said, Anthem, another game that was shown at the Microsoft press conference, and a game that I'm sure is going to be marketed under Microsoft, is not native 4K. Right? How and the thing that shocks me the most, I just figured this out today. Crackdown 3, I believe, is not native 4K, and that's an exclusive. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on there. Now, let me also say this: I don't give a flying fuck about resolution. I see a lot of these gamers talking about, oh, why is this not 4K? Why is this not true 4K? Why is PlayStation Pro holding it back? Like, they're not talking about the gameplay. And listen, I don't like Assassin's Creed at all. I don't like that game at all. But the game looked great. But instead of talking about the gameplay, these fucking fanboys, all they can do is talk about, oh, why isn't this for native 4K? Like they actually give a flying fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like they it don't make no sense to me. But the thing that I find hilarious, and I think that's part of the reason why the outrage is palpable, is because at the end of the day, a lot of these fanboys hype this console up to be the true 4K console. So naturally, because because they see Sony as the bad guys, and I think a lot of the Xbox do see them like that, especially after this week. They immediately point the finger at the pro, saying, "Oh, you're the one that's holding us back. You're the console that's holding us back," completely ignoring that technically the lowest common denominator for all these platforms is the Xbox One. That is technically the lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? Like, I know Jim Ryan made a comment about it. He didn't say that they were holding back games. I don't think he said that. He said that at the end of the day, most developers are going to create games to fit the lowest common denominator, and a lot of people, I guess, assume, and he probably said it too, but probably thought that it was the Pro that he was talking about. What I think he was referring to was the OG Xbox and the not OG Xbox, but the Xbox One and the PS4. Because technically, those two consoles, these companies have to make the fucking game on those consoles also. People forget that. People just all they want is 4K 60, when most of these games don't run at 60. Period. You know what I mean? Most of these fucking games don't even run at 60. Period. But for whatever reason, these Xbox fanboys, they want the game to be 4K 60 because they want bragging rights. That's it. All they want is bragging rights. They don't care about graphics. They don't care about, most of them probably don't even care about games. They want bragging rights. That's all this is. That's all the outrage is. This is like that. I mean, am I lying? Like, these people, they're discussing, they're talking about, they look to Sony as the bad guy, so they're obviously blaming them for it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, here's the deal. The only the best way to see what the power of a console can do is through first party. Because you could have sworn, you could have told me this last generation, I would have believed you with the vast majority of those games. If someone would have told me that the Xbox 360 was more powerful than the PS3, I would have believed them. Why? Because the vast majority of the third party games that came out for both looked and played better on the Xbox 360. What what company highlight what how did Sony show that the PS3 was more powerful? Was with the first party games, because the first party games looked so much better than. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I understand that. I understand if you want, if you think that for $500, and if you for $500, that's a lot of fucking money to buy a console that doesn't have the game that you want. So I definitely can understand that. But like I said, with the PS3, the way that people saw the true power of that console was through its first party. Even look at the launch lineup. Look at some of the launch games, some of the earlier games. Resistance Fallen Man was a beautiful game for its time. Heavenly Sword was a beautiful game at the time. Very gorgeous game. And obviously we all know about Metal Gear Solid 4. That game looked amazing. And then you go back to modern day, a game like the Uncharted franchise, especially 2 and 3. Infamous 2. I'm not gonna count Infamous 1. I didn't think that game looked great. The scale of the game was great, but I didn't think the game looked good graphically. Infamous 2 definitely looked better. But you look at Killzone, some of the most impressive visuals last generation from Killzone, right? From that franchise. Um, am I missing anything else? There were definitely other great games that looked great, that looked better than anything that came out exclusively for the Xbox One. And even when you look at the Xbox One, some of their games look better. Some of their games look better than third party games on there. Especially like Gears. The way that you get the most out of your platform is through its first party. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? This whole thing about PS4 holding back the Pro. Like, again, would it surprise me if they were? I mean, to be frank, no. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't look at these companies as people. I look at them as a business. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it could be true. I'm not. Yeah, you never know. I don't think it's legal. But like I said, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true or not. If they're holding back, if they're purposely telling the developer, yo, don't try to make the Xbox One version superior, Xbox One X version superior. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the best way to um highlight the console power is through first party. And let's be fucking real about this. When it comes to first party, Microsoft is completely lagging behind Sony in that department. Completely lagging behind them in that department. And I think that's part of the reason why Microsoft fans and fanboys are somewhat upset about this, because they know that first party is the one that highlights it. But when you have fewer and fewer first party games that can highlight that, it's a problem. It's a problem because at the end of the day, you can only depend on Gears, Halo, and Forza for so long before you're like, okay, what the fuck are we doing here? I mean, I understand that the price tag is also an issue for $500. I think some people are like, we don't want to we don't want to play the same, we don't want to pay the same price for a game if it's not going to be an improvement over the supposedly super weak PS4 Pro. Well, welcome to my world, motherfucker. Look at my situation, right? Let's say, for example, that Crackdown 3, right? A game that I actually bought the Xbox One for. That was my most anticipated, AAA game for the Xbox, because I'm not the biggest Halo or Gears fan, even though I do have Gears 4 and I like it a lot. I'm not. Those are not my favorite franchises in the world. Crackdown, when they showed that game a couple years ago, that's the game that I actually really wanted to play. So let's put this hypothetical situation, hypothetical situation out there, right? Let's say it comes out that the Xbox One X, with all its power and all its teraflops, was going to be 4K 60 on the Xbox One X, and the one that I have, let's say that's 1080p 30, right? You think I'm gonna be happy paying $60 for the same game when the version that they bought is going to be 4K 60, and the version that I bought with the same fucking price, same fucking type of money, is only going to be 1080p 30. Now, obviously, the resolution thing doesn't matter necessarily to me because like I said, I don't own a 4K TV. I'm not interested in 4K. But the frame rate part does matter to me because at the end of the day, I'm still playing with those same people online. I'm still playing with those same people. And the fact that I have to spend the same amount of fucking money and get a worse experience than those who decided to spend $500 on the console, to me that's not fair. And people will say, well, what about PC? What about PC? Listen, when it comes to PC gaming, that's an open platform. You know what I mean? That's an open platform. You can play the game, set up the game however you want. If you want to play the game at 30 on PC, you can do that. If you want to play the game at 60, you can do that. If you want to play the game with all these different options, shit like that, you can do that because that's an open platform. As far as I'm concerned, consoles are not. They're a closed platform, and it's not fair to me, someone who doesn't want to spend fucking after spending what $300 on the S. I don't want to have to go there and spend one trade in my system or spend the $500 to buy an X. Why should I have to spend all that money just to get the best version of the games? Now again, if we want to make it improve, if it has more steady frame rate and stuff like that, that's fine. I'm cool with that. That's fine. I understand. That's the advantages of buying a more powerful console. I get that, but I don't want to pay the same price, on the same platform for for um for a game that are going to perform a lot better. Not better, a lot better on their console because they spent $500 on it than me when I spent 300 on the system a year earlier. That's not fair if I'm paying the same price. And so you turn this all around, you understand why I have no sympathy for these dudes who sit there and crying, complaining about, oh, well, I shouldn't have to pay the same price for the game, or I shouldn't have the same performance as I would with a game on the Pro. At the end of the day, if you fucking idiots realize it, the console is more powerful. So I assume that even if it's checkerboard, what have you, more than likely it'll perform the same it will perform better on the X. And also, like, does it really matter? None of this shit matters if the game is not good. If the game's not good, it don't fucking matter. Now again, it like everyone says, it's up to the developer. Now I see the Arc developer, some guy from I don't know who makes Arc, but the Arc dev, he said that he was pumping up the Xbox One and saying this and that, saying that it can do 4K. We can do. I think they said that they can do 4K 60 on the Xbox One X, and they can't do that on the PS4 Pro, and that's fine. That's 100% fine. But if his game is dog shit, none of that fucking matters. None of that fucking matters. At the end of the day, it always has been, and it always will be about the games. Power don't mean shit if you don't have the talent to explore it. So that's. I mean, that's simple. Like in the only Xbox dude that I've seen that has said that, ironically enough, is Tin Dog, the biggest Xbox fanboy out there. And like I said before, me and him are cool. Like I'm friendly with him. He's admitted that he's a fanboy, so I'm not saying nothing that he already, has already said about himself. But he has said that none of this resolution talk matters. At the end of the day, it's about the games. It's about the first party games. That's what matters, and that will be the one that highlights the true power of the system. So if a game like Destiny, is not taking full advantage of the pro of the Xbox One X, I mean, okay, so the fuck what? Who cares? As long as the game is good, none of that shit matters. None of that shit matters, and I understand some of it is retaliation for what happened with Assassin's Creed Unity. With the whole PS4 parity bullshit. At the end of the day, you guys were trying to brag about a game that was dog shit. Ultimately, what was lost in all this with the back and forth and the petitions, all that stupid shit. At the end of the day, the game was dog shit. Ultimately, I agree. I agree. It's hurt them. It's hurt them. Yeah, it definitely hurt them canceling some of those games. It's hurt them. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But like I said, the first party games are going to be the ones that dictate what this console is capable of. Right? At the end of the day, if you don't like, at the end of the day, none of this shit matters. And the only reason why I think this has become an issue is because of the bragging rights, all the marketing bullshit that went behind it, all the stupid shit that went behind pumping up this console as this god of consoles. You know what I mean? Like all this stupid shit. As seems to have come back and bite them in the ass. Now, to me, like none of this shit matters to me. 'Cause at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if it's 8K. If the game fucking sucks, the game fucking sucks. 4K ain't gonna change none of that. Ain't gonna change none of that. So, so to me, I just don't understand where I just don't understand why people are so obsessed over this. Well, I mean, I know why. It's fanboy bullshit. Like, I mean, we all know. We all know why. It's fanboy bullshit. But to me, I just find it to be fucking lame. So, I think that's about it. I don't know if I have anything else to discuss. Ultimately, here to do with this. Ultimately, and I'll leave it with this. When it comes to Sony in general, money is going to be the biggest factor in everything, right? If you don't like the company, if you think they're doing a bad job, that's fine. Ultimately, for gamers, you have to speak with your wallets, right? As a company, that's who they respond to. They don't respond to stupid bullshit petitions that don't mean shit. They don't respond to whining and bitching and complaining. They don't respond to that. What they respond to is the money leaving them. The money going away. That's what it comes down to. And ultimately, if you and I see a lot of dudes here, a lot of gamers here who can sit there, say all this stupid shit about Sony, like with some of these BGST losers. They talk down to this console like this thing the worst thing in the world. They think the company's evil. All this stupid shit. The vast majority of them either have PS4s or or had P or have PS4s or had them. So what makes their opinion any what makes their credibility any what makes them credible? Seriously, what makes them credible? When you can sit there, trash the console, and while owning the console, it seems almost as if they only do this for publicity. At the end of the day, what matters most is is money. If they're not giving you what you want, you move on. It's that simple. At the end of the day, we're all consumers here. We're not we're not cheerleaders. We're consumers. If you don't like what they're doing, you move on. You don't sit there and try to convince other gamers and convince other, and obviously some of these dudes have very popular channels. It's not your job to convince them not to buy a product. Your job, sir, is to talk about the thing that we all should be talking about, which are games. But a lot of these dudes don't do that because a lot of the dudes are not gamers. They're not. At the end of the day, if you don't like something, speak with your money, speak with your wallet. Not with this fucking battle cry. Not with this fucking battle cry bullshit about oh, it's time to take our lead back and it's time to for Microsoft to be back on top, like fucking cheerleaders. The goal is speak with your wallet. It's that simple. It's not hard. So if you don't like what Sony's doing, that's fine. Just move on. It's that simple. Don't sit there bitch and complain about the console, and then go out and buy it a couple days later. It don't make no sense. It don't, at least doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, this is Movie 186. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching, and share whenever you get a chance. I'm out. Peace.